Welcome back to the deep dive. This time, we're going to dive headfirst into Bitcoin. But, not just the usual stuff. We're talking about the wave trend indicator. You know how Bitcoin prices are always all over the place? Well, today, we're going to try to make sense of all that. It's kind of like you're on this crazy roller coaster, blindfolded, and the wave trend. It's like getting a little peek under that blindfold, just enough to see if you're about to go over a massive drop or up an insane climb.
Exactly. We're not here to predict the future or tell you what to do with your money. This is all about equipping you with the tools to understand what's happening in the market.
Right. And the wave trend has a pretty good track record. Like back in 2021, remember when Bitcoin hit almost $74,000? Well, the wave trend was flashing some pretty big sell signals weeks before that peak.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so powerful. It's not just some theoretical thing. It's about understanding the momentum of the market. When everyone's getting super optimistic or, a little too scared, the wave trend can often pick up on those shifts.
So it's all about spotting those moments when the crowd might be getting a little ahead of itself.
Exactly. And right now, we're seeing some signals that are, well, they've got us paying very close attention. But to really grasp what's going on, we need to talk about market structure. Think of it like the foundation of Bitcoin's price action.
Okay, so like the bedrock beneath all the price swings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And since about July 2021, we've seen a particular structure forming. Bitcoin's been building on this new foundation.
So July 2021 becomes a kind of a pivotal point in our story.
Yeah, you could say that. And then we saw kind of a test of that foundation around April 2022. Fast forward to today, October 2023. We're at another really crucial point for this market structure.
Okay, so I've got July 2021, April 2022, October 2023. These are the dates to keep in mind. But what makes this October moment so important?
Well, not only are we at a critical support level for Bitcoin's price, but the wave trend is also showing something called bearish divergence within that structure.
Bearish divergence. For those of us who don't speak fluent trader, what are we actually talking about?
Okay, so imagine Bitcoin is like a race car, right? Bearish divergence is like the engine revving really high, but the car is barely moving. It's a sign that, maybe something's not quite right.
The engine's sputtering even though we're trying to hit the gas.
Exactly. The current upward momentum might not be sustainable, especially with that critical support level we talked about still in play. And, this isn't the first time we've seen this. Remember that crash back in 2021?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Well, we saw the same engine sputtering signal right before that crash, too.
So it's like hearing a weird creaking sound on a roller coaster right before, a big drop.
Yeah, maybe. Look, no indicator is perfect, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely something to be aware of. The wave trend is giving us some pretty valuable clues about what's going on beneath the surface.
Okay, so we've got this critical support level being tested, and on top of that, the wave trend is flashing this warning signal. This is getting intense, but there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, there's something else we need to talk about. Something that could be a huge opportunity for those who are ready for it. It's all about this thing called the double dip.
Double dip. Okay, now you've got my attention. Spill the beans. What are we talking about here?
All right, so remember those market cycles we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, like the ebb and flow of the Bitcoin market.
Exactly. Well, the double dip is like a really sweet spot within those cycles. But to really wrap our heads around it, I think we need to back up a bit. Give everyone a quick refresher on what market cycles are and why they even matter.
Right, because not everyone has memorized every Bitcoin price swing since, 2011.
Exactly. So think of it this way. Imagine a wave crashing on the shore, pulling back, then crashing again.
Right.
Up, down, up, down. It's a pattern. And those are market cycles. Just like, well, pretty much everything else, Bitcoin goes through these cycles too, these kind of expansions and contractions.
So it's not just about if Bitcoin is going up or down, right this second, but where we are in this bigger picture, that whole cycle thing.
Exactly. It's like, are we still riding the wave up to some crazy new high, or should we, maybe brace ourselves for the pullback?
So how do we figure out where we might be in this whole cycle thing? And what does that tell us about this whole double dip situation?
Okay, well, there are a bunch of different models and theories and whatnot out there, but one that's pretty popular breaks the cycle down into four main phases: accumulation, markup, distribution, and markdown.
Okay, break that down for me. What do those phases actually look like, in the real world?
Okay, so let's say we're in the accumulation phase. This is like early days.
Right.
The sentiment is low. People are kind of iffy about Bitcoin. Prices are pretty stable, maybe even dipping a little.
Yeah.
But this is where smart investors start to see opportunity.
They're like, time to stock up while everyone else is freaking out.
Exactly. Then we've got the markup phase. This is where the party starts.
Mhm.
Prices are going up. More people are jumping in. FOMO is in full effect. Everyone's suddenly a Bitcoin expert. You know how it goes.
Headlines are all Bitcoin hits new all-time high.
Right. But, like any good party, at some point, it's got to end. And that's when we hit the distribution phase. Prices might still be high, but things are starting to slow down. Some people start taking their profits, heading home early.
The smart money is like, all right, time to cash out,
Yeah.
while everyone else is still dancing on the tables, oblivious.
Exactly. And then, well, then comes the markdown phase. This is where, reality sets in. Prices drop, sometimes really fast, and it's not always pretty.
A hangover after the party.
Pretty much. And then the whole cycle starts again. But the point is, by understanding these cycles, we can maybe, start to make some smarter decisions about when to jump in and when to maybe step back for a minute.
So where does this whole double dip thing fit into all of this?
Good question. So this double dip we might be seeing right now, it would probably be happening like toward the end of that accumulation phase, or maybe the very beginning of the markup phase, right before things really start to take off.
So potentially a really interesting time to be paying attention.
Yeah, it's like we're getting a little sneak peek, a heads up that the music's about to start playing again, but the dance floor is still pretty empty.
Okay, I love that analogy. But I know you can't give financial advice, but hypothetically speaking, if someone's listening to this completely intrigued by this whole double dip thing, what should they be considering? What kind of questions should they be asking themselves?
Well, one big one is, what does this signal really tell us about how the market is feeling right now? Because remember, it's happening in a time when, like, fear and uncertainty are still kind of hanging around. That's why it's called buying the dip. You got to be willing to, go against the crowd a little bit.
So you need a strong stomach and a healthy dose of skepticism.
For sure. And remember, no indicator is perfect, right? The wave trend is just one tool, one piece of the puzzle. You got to look at everything. Market trends, the tech stuff, even what's going on in the world politically.
We're like detectives piecing together clues from everywhere.
Right. And the more informed we are, the better prepared we are to handle this whole, exciting, always changing world of Bitcoin.
So let's talk about some of those clues. We keep coming back to this idea of market structure and those key dates: July 2021, April 2022, October 2023. What's going on within that structure that makes this double dip so interesting right now?
Well, this is where things get really fascinating.
All right, we are back. For the final stretch of this Bitcoin deep dive using the wave trend indicator, we've covered a lot of ground here. Market cycles, those warning signs, and even that whole double dip thing. It's getting kind of wild.
It really is. It's like we're standing at the bottom of a roller coaster, right?
Yes.
Watching it go up that first big hill.
Hmm.
And we're just waiting to see what happens.
Right. Big time. So as we're strapping ourselves in and getting ready for this ride, what are the big things our listeners should keep in mind as they, try to navigate this whole crypto world?
Well, the most important thing to remember is this isn't about giving you all the answers, right? We're not saying we can predict the future or anything. This is all about giving you the knowledge, the tools. The wave trend indicator is awesome, it's powerful, but it's just one piece of a much bigger picture.
It's like we've got a map, but who knows if it's up to date? We still need our compass, our instincts, maybe a good pair of Viking boots. Can't hurt.
It's exactly 100%. You got to be a little skeptical. Always be learning, right? Don't just blindly follow any indicator, even the wave trend. Do your own research. Ask the tough questions. Look at things from different angles.
Because there are a lot of voices out there in the crypto space, right?
Sure.
It's loud.
That's the truth. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype, the fear, all of it. But the people who really succeed, they're the ones who can, like, tune out the noise, think for themselves, make decisions based on their own analysis.
So as we wrap this up, this whole deep dive into Bitcoin and what the wave trend is telling us, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
Honestly, the future of Bitcoin, just like any market, it's uncertain. There'll be good times, bad times, probably a whole lot of surprises along the way. But if you understand the patterns, the psychology of it all, and you use tools like the wave trend, you can start to make some smarter decisions and, navigate this whole wild world of crypto with a little more confidence.
It's like we've learned the language of the market, but we don't have the script.
There you go. That's a great way to put it, and that is powerful. So be curious, stay informed, and don't ever stop exploring the world of Bitcoin. It's a fascinating space.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into who knows what. Until then, happy exploring.